Live.
Boom. We're live, ladies and gentlemen. It's official. We are here to talk about the demise of what are we talking crap about this time? Oh, Stellar Crown. Right, of course. I knew what our topic for today was about. Stellar Crown. Is it dead on arrival, guys? Is it over? Is it cooked? Is it going to be overlooked by Surging Spark? That's what we're going to talk about, obviously, in today's topic, and all things that are going to get people to click on the video, because that's really what matters at the end of the day. Like,
Well, it's all dying. Everything's dead. Like,
everything. See, Alex gets it. Everything's dying. Sell everything you have. There's no point. Why are you even in this hobby? Go back to Beanie Babies where you belong. Like,
we had a serious conversation. We were actually weighing the costs of if you can get enough views on a video. Is it more worth it to just burn Shrouded Fable like for views, or like do you make more actually selling it? And we couldn't come to a clear answer on it.
I feel like there is a clear answer, and it's burn your Pokemon collection. That's what you do, Alex. That's what you do is you post a video of you burning your stuff, and if you get to enough likes, then the next video you burn something new, and then you just keep doing it every video. So that way you're basically getting rid of your product by selling it out for flames, just fire fuel and everything.
I mean, that's kind of what I was planning on. And if it works good, then I'll be able to do it with Stellar Crown and then obviously Surging Spark. Because I already saw people in the chat. Surging Spark apparently is just, it's no good either now. Nothing's good.
Surging is garbage, bro. What are we even doing here? Imagine making a video title saying a Surging Spark the next team up. What an absolute bunch of idiots.
No, man. I mean, this hobby changes like the weather. I mean, it's just like Stellar Crown, everyone was excited for, people kind of overlooked Shrouded Fable ever since the beginning, kind of. I don't know if that ever went through a hype phase, but Stellar Crown went through its hype phase, and then people got upset it's a small set, and now they're upset about it doesn't have the right Pokemans in it. And I just feel like people are always going to find a reason to be upset about something. I don't think anyone should base any of their decisions on what they're buying for investment based on anything that's going on online in the whole like social media sphere.
Well, I feel like the problem is if you're someone that's going on Twitter to specifically decide whether you're going to buy a set or not, then you're doing this wrong. like you're going to just get the complete polarization of like just emotions on Twitter. That's like it. You're just going to hear people that are going to be doom and gloom or like it's to the moon, and you're not going to get a real like retrospective take on the actual set itself. And like here's the deal, guys. We joke about it every intro. We joke about it on every thumbnail and every like video title because that's what we're here to do. Like it's not take it too seriously, because at the end of the day, like sure, we're investment channels that talk about like what we think is a good pickup, but we want to have fun with it just because people tend to take this hobby way too seriously, get way too heated about things. And so for us, we like to make sure that people are given accurate information while also being able to poke fun at people that are super duper hyperbolic and are always like, going one way or another and then just going in their retrospective camps that they're super tribal about.
Yeah, I mean, and to respond to like Josh talking about, already talking about Team Rocket and the Evolution set, I can guarantee you one thing, Josh. I'll guarantee everyone one thing. You're already more hyped about it than you're going to be before it comes out. It only goes down from here. Once a set name is pulled, the trademark is pulled, and once you know what it is, that is the peak level of excitement you will ever be. It only goes down and down from there. And the closer we get, the more leaks we get. People will find reasons to not like it. They should have did this. They should have did that. That artist should have drew it this way. They should have put that Pokemon in there. It's so overplayed at this point that I keep thinking eventually it'll kind of like fade away and people will stop going through the same routine. But lo and behold, you wake up, same routine every single day, like clockwork.
I want to disagree with you, but you're right, because literally that's what happened with Evolving. Evolving Skies, literally price was $115 in the lead up to the new set release. And it wasn't until after the release of the set, or like literally the week before the set comes out, that's when you start to see everyone change their mind. It's the week in the lead up to the set, and then when it comes out after, then all of a sudden you hear everyone all talk about like, hey, this set might actually not be as bad as we thought. Which, to be fair, like, I mean, your opinion can change from pull rates. Mine obviously changed for Twilight, but I don't know. It's just kind of interesting to see how the dynamic shift always changes then. And that's something like Alex is like, so where are we on Stellar? And I'm like, Stellar's not out yet. I don't even know, man. Like my take on Stellar has always been the same. I think that it's a step forward in the second half of the, Scarlet and Violet era, which means it's going to be one of the good sets. But ultimately, the set hasn't come out yet. And so we don't know what the pull rates are. And that's going to play a big portion into like how we're going to see the set, because at the end of the day, people like to chase expensive cards. So we're going to see where that Squirtle and Bulbasaur lies.
Yeah, and people always are trying to like also draw like parallels between like other sets or other eras. And well, this is the eighth set, so let's look at the Sword and Shield eighth set, the Sun and Moon eighth set. It's like you can't always draw a complete parallel. And yeah, I mean, what you said is exactly right. Like once the set gets released, that's when opinions usually change again, right? And people like say, "Oh, I actually do like opening this," or "I do like that card," or "Oh, it is hard to hit," or whatever it may be. And then based on supply, based on how people actually like it, then the whole sentiment might change. The set might go up. Sometimes it stays the same, right? Sometimes sets come out, no one likes them, they get opened, people have a chance to collect it, they still don't like it, and it just stays flat and it doesn't do well. But it's just getting caught up in the news cycle is the worst thing you can do, especially if you're basing your purchase decisions off of it. Like, just honestly, I truly think they did like an experiment before where they had like a monkey like pick its favorite stocks to invest in, right, on Wall Street, and it like did better than some of like the actual experienced brokers or whatever, or traders. I think you could do that in Pokemon. I literally think you could have a monkey just pick numbers, like, all right, set number 2, 9, 12, and 4. And I guarantee you'd probably be just as good as other people that tried to pick sets, because no one saw Twilight coming. Some people saw Paldea, some people didn't. Like, it's very hard to be a perfect set picker and know why people are going to like sets into the future. And so it's best to honestly just let things play out and continue with your thesis.
Well, I guess what's also difficult too is, do you wait until the set's revealed, which is what I've always told people, right? Or do you get in early on the hype of the name of the set, right? Because at the
Yeah,
end of
I
the
think you
day,
do both. I think you do. I think you like. I would say never go all in, but it's always good to have like a piece of it, because that way, if it is like that and it pulls a Twilight, well, at least you got some. But if it's not as good and it drops into the $95-$90 range, well, that's cool. You can just pick up more in dollar cost average. You didn't have all your eggs in one basket. You weren't all in. So that's kind of where I'm at usually.
but I guess here's my question for you, right? Because with Twilight itself actually did bad when it was first revealed versus when it was actually first released. So I guess my question is how I at least look at it is, there's 3 points in time in which people consider picking up the product, right? It's the set is first revealed, or the set is first, like the name of the set, like we know what the name of the set is, right? Then the set is first revealed. We know what the cards are in the set. And then the set is first released, right? So, do you say to yourself, you take the chance of getting boxes before we even know what's in the set? Or do you wait until the set shows what's cards in it? Or do you go half and half? Or like, do you go a third, and then a third after release? Like, where do you kind of look at it in that regard, I guess?
I think back in Sword and Shield, it was different. I think the market. So it depends if you're in a bull market or a bear market. If you guys don't know what that is, bear negative market, bull's a positive market. Right now, we're in it's pretty obviously a bull market right now. And so in a bull market, I think it's better to buy it pre-release. The reason is because it's all about, just risk versus reward. Your chances of that box holding up above pre-release price and rising after release because of demand and everything is much higher than the risk of it going below that price. Now, back in Sword and Shield, boxes used to get released, and it was always the thing. Hey, wait, don't buy it pre-release, don't buy it release. Everything drops. You'll be able to pick it up cheaper. It's not the case. Like Temporal hasn't really dropped. Twilight hasn't dropped. Like things are changing. The tides are kind of changing. And so, in my opinion, if you can buy it pre-release for like 90, 95 a box, I think you have a better chance of seeing that box at 105, 110, 115, 120 in the months to come than see that box at 90, 85 at this point. So I think at this day, right now in this market, it does make sense to buy early.
I mean, it's definitely possible to look at it that way, because I mean, there's definitely more, I would say. I think people are saying to themselves, "Hey, we see the pattern here. It's second half set," and people are looking at that and they're kind of rolling with it. For me, I'm still gonna play the conservative game and wait till the set's released, but that's just because I don't mind paying a little bit more, you know? Like, obviously, I'm speaking from the perspective of if I didn't have access to, distribution, but that's personally what I would do. Because you're still gonna have that opportunity right when the cards are gonna be revealed. It's not something you're gonna have to wait until like a week before the set. Because realistically, Stellar comes out what's today? Tuesday? It comes out this week, right? And so you're going to get releases or reveals tomorrow and Thursday for the rest of the Paradise Dragona. And I feel like that literally should give people a good enough of like a glimpse of what we're going to see for some of Surging. I know we're still going to get the second half of Surging revealed. I don't know when that's going to be. When is the electric set for Japan? What's it called again?
I know you're not asking me that question. That's got to be hypothetical.
Come on now. You should know this.
I don't know a single thing. You just got back from Japan. What were you doing over there? I thought you were supposed to be getting all kind of Poke knowledge.
That's it, man. I literally came up to everyone that I could and I said, "Where's the Pokemon?" That's all I did the entire trip. Obviously Paradise Dragona is going on the 13th. Where is the set list release? Someone in the chat's probably just gonna say it. I'm just waiting. I know it's called Supercharged Breakers. So Pokemon set release Supercharged Breaker. That set comes out on October the 18th. When does our set come out again for Surging? November. That's what I thought. So it just depends. Do you want to take the first half and kind of look at just Paradise Dragona and based off that, or do you want to go with Breakers and just try and go off of that? That's kind of how you gotta. That's the question. How much you want to wait? I think I'm fine with Paradise. I think Paradise is gonna be good enough. Watch me eat my words, and Supercharged ends up being the better second half.
Let me explain this, all right, to everyone out there. All right, there's one of two scenarios. Either you don't put a lot of money into Pokemon and you don't buy that much, or you put a lot of money into Pokemon and you buy a lot, and so you're really price conscious. Okay, I think either way, either scenario, you're probably fine just buying it pre-release if you can find it at $90, $95. Here's the reason, right? If you don't buy much, you only buy a box or 2 boxes or whatever, or a case, and it goes down $5, $10, $15, guess what? What'd you lose? 20, 30, $40? Like, let's be real. It's not a big deal. If you do buy a lot of product and you're worried about it, it's just like, what are the odds? If you'd have bought every single product at pre-release, look how you're doing. Like Scarlet Violet Base is the only one that's down low. Every other box is over $100. Every one of them. And Twilight and Paldea, you're doing really good on. Obsidian, you're doing pretty good on. The Paradox and Temporal, at least you're even or a little up on. Like the odds show us, like the market tells us that it makes the most sense. So it's like either way, if you don't buy much or do buy a lot, and you're like worried either way, it's like, well, one way it's just like you don't really have a lot on the line anyway. 1 or 2 boxes going down $5 or $10 isn't going to make or break you. And if you do buy multiple, 5, 10, 20 cases, it's just like, well, the research and the data right now shows us that you're actually more likely to make money in the short term than lose it. So I think the answer is the same either way, man. I think you just stop worrying about the cards in the set and how big the set is and what's in Japan and all this, and just pre-order each set as it comes out.
I still feel like you should at least split it though, like you were saying. Like you can definitely not worry about what's in the set and go like a couple of boxes in first, and from there, like once you've seen kind of a teaser of the set, then you can decide if you want to double down or not. Because obviously a set like Obsidian has performed like really good for what the set is, but so we know that like these sets that are garbage can still perform well. But if you can obviously go in on a set, then see the release, and then make that prediction and double down more so, like you said, dollar cost average, I think that's definitely the most optimal way to look at it.
Here, I actually did a video today for anyone that doesn't watch my channel. Eli, if you want to share my screen real quick, I actually still have the spreadsheet up. Hold on. All right, go ahead and share that. So guys, this is a spreadsheet for all of the worst sets from each era going back to Black and White. You have Black and White Base, Emerging Powers. We got Steam Siege, Crimson Invasion, Forbidden Light. You've got Rebel Clash, Darkness Ablaze, Vivid Voltage, Battle Styles. These are all pretty much agreed upon in the community. These are all terrible sets. Like if someone had to pick out the worst sets to invest in each era, these would pretty much have got, everyone's votes. And as you can see, like every one of these sets is still up per year. Like this is total gain over here, total gain since they've been released. These are the released, how long they've been out. This is the gains per year. So the worst one is Battle Styles right now. You're still making 10% a year on freaking Battle Styles. You're making 27% Rebel Clash, 13 and 11 on Vivid Voltage, Darkness Ablaze. As things get older, like as you know, after 3 to 5 years, things can ramp up. Forbidden Light, Crimson start to ramp up. And so it's just like, this is what I always talk about is people like really dive in and worry about things too much. Obviously,
bring that chart back up again.
Okay.
Bring that chart back up again.
We'll do. All right, there it is.
All right. Hold on. I need to add it to stage for you. Give me 2 seconds. All right.
Hold
on. I got to ask you an important question. All right. Stay with me now. Black and white emerging powers, right? 13-year-old set. Okay. We know that's a very, very, very old set. They're several, almost several $1,000s worth of a set. You're able to pick up Steam Siege for a fraction of the price, and the set is 5 years younger.
Yeah.
Now, my question is, when do we think that Steam Siege is going to go to $1,000? Because if you really think about it, 2 years, it'll be a decade old. Like how realistic is that to have happen compared to Black and White and Emerging Powers, which are arguably, I mean, at least for me, I made a tier ranking video a while ago, and Emerging Powers is by far the worst set they've ever made.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's unrealistic. Obviously, I just wanted to show them as data points, but no, I don't think it's realistic because these sets were printed a lot differently than the modern sets, right? Printing kind of changed after the beginning of XY when Pokemon really got popular again. But I mean, I think all these prices are very realistic for Scarlet Violet era sets in 5 to 8 years. Like these are very realistic prices for a set like Obsidian Flames or any or even Scarlet Violet base. And so it just goes to show that like if you here, this is one of the points I wanted to make. If you broke down the S&P index or you broke down any mutual fund, almost every one of them has losing stocks in it. This goes to show you can make the worst possible decision on booster boxes in every era and you still come out ahead. That's how crazy this Pokemon hobby is. Even when you lose, you win, right? You make the worst possible decisions, you're still up. This doesn't take into account how good all the medium range boxes are doing, the high performers are doing. This is just the worst performers, and you're still making money on every one of them after 3 to 5, 6, 8, 13 years. So that's more of the point of it, less about like reaching the Emerging Powers Black and White price points. It's just showing that like, hey, everyone's so worried about picking the right sets. Over time, they all go up.
But here's the real question. Do you think there is ever a breaking point for some of these older, less desirable sets to where you do see them pushing higher numbers like emerging? Because obviously we know XY print is way more than than Black and White print. But do you think there is like some form of catalyst point where you're like, all right, this set's over, X amount of years old. The supply just keeps getting less and less to the point of where something pushes it over the edge to where all of a sudden it does become more expensive than what we've seen it within the previous years.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're seeing it right now with XY. I mean, and I think you just have to be in the hobby long enough to really experience it. Like these sets go through multiple growth periods. I would say the most intense growth period sometimes is like that 2 to 5 year one once it goes out of print and once it starts to age for the first time. But then it goes through sets, things like Sword and Shield's going through right now where it's had its major rise. Now everything's kind of stabilizing and it's waiting for the next rise. But just like this year, this year, I mean, Fates Collide was like a $300 booster box a year and a half ago. Now it's pushing like $600. I mean, we're talking 80, 90% gain in a year on some of these. And so, yeah, I mean, I think things can sit stagnant for long periods of time, and then they can have massive upturns in short periods of time. And that's why, Pokemon not being like a linear growth really throws people off. And that's why you get a lot of the, buyout manipulation talk a lot, is because this is how these hobbies move. When demand returns to something that's really scarce, it can jump a lot faster than you remember or it's ever happened. So.
Speaking of demand returning, is there any specific sort of ultra modern product you want to kind of take a poke at in terms of following the price action of it?
What are you talking about?
What I mean is like in terms of new sets, like obviously you've got Paldea Evolved is, about to hit 150. Twilight Masquerade is about to hit 140. I mean, looking at some of these newer sets that are performing well, is there anyone you want to kind of give a shout out to and kind of take a look at and say, hey guys, this one's creeping up again?
I mean, Hidden Fates is one. I mean that I made a video about last month. It was like my August top 5 investments, and it was still like in the 170s, and now it's pushing into the higher 190s, almost $200. We've had some sales in like the mid 190s now, so that's moving finally again. What else is starting to? I mean, even the bad sets like Darkness Ablaze and Vivid Voltage are finally starting to move a little bit now that they're starting to age, and even though they have hate, they're starting to move. Um,
Dude,
it's crazy.
yeah.
I mean,
It'll be
to see Darkness Ablaze at $155 a box when that's getting close now to like Silver Tempest. That's crazy.
Is it though? I mean, is it really that
Is
crazy
it?
though? I mean, you know where my stance was on this. You know where my take
Can't
was
go
on
wrong with
Dark.
Charizard set.
I mean, I think Obsidian's proving that currently. I hate darkness. You know where I stand. Like I'm not a a fan of darkness, but what I am a fan of is people like to collect Sword and Shield era booster boxes, and if they can't afford some of the more expensive ones, they're gonna go to the cheaper ones, regardless of whether they're the alt art ones or not. It just I don't know. It just kind of it makes sense to me, whether you like it or not. I don't collect Steam Siege because I love Steam Siege. I collect Steam Siege because I want to get all the XY boxes.
100%. Yeah, that is the hardest thing for singles collectors or slab collectors to understand, right? They only see boxes in terms of estimated value or in terms of like the top hit. Like, well, I can buy the top hit near mint or PSA 9 for this much. Why would you pay this much for a box? It's like the box is the collectible. Like, what could be inside means nothing to me. It's the box, Like I was saying before, I don't own Team Up because I hope Latias Latios is inside there, or because I hope a Gengar Mimikyu is inside there. I own it for the box. I don't care if there's nothing inside there. It's the same reason people buy light packs. They know there's nothing in a base set light pack, but they pay hundreds of dollars for it. So, I mean,
It's cool to own a pack.
yeah, it's cool to own part of history, part of it's part of your collection.
I know it's pre-sale and it probably means nothing, but have you seen the pre-sale pricing for Surging on TCG right now?
For Surging, no, I've been looking at Stellar. What's Surging doing?
Surging's at 140 right now pre-sale. I mean, like I said before, I'm not putting too much stock in it because, pre-sale's been out for 2 weeks now and, it's slowly going down, but it is interesting to still look at because in my mind, I'm like, I wonder where it's going to land by the time the set does release. Because there isn't really anything, at least that I mean, this is my opinion, that I can say of that I'm like looking at it and I'm like, whoa, this is crazy. Like this card is putting this set over the top. We're still waiting for those SIRs that are crazy, at least in my opinion. Like I understand we have, man, I'm already going to pronounce this long. Is it pronounced Lycias? Is that how it's pronounced? People are gonna make fun of me. It's whatever.
Dude,
But you
hey,
still
I get made fun of because I swear to you, I'm not lying. I'm not lying when I say this. I still haven't even looked at Stellar Crown set list.
really
I'll look at it before I open it on Thursday. But it's
probably
like
Lycias, and I'm probably pronouncing it wrong. It's probably
I literally just don't look ahead. I don't know anything about Surging Spark. I know nothing about Stellar Crown, really. I know it's got Terapagos and the Squirtle and the Bulbasaur. That's
yeah,
about it because so many people talk about it. But I haven't like looked through the set. It's just like I said, it doesn't have any meaning to me, right? Like if it's great or it's bad, it just doesn't matter because, like I said, on average, if you're playing the numbers game and you buy every single set out of the gate, the odds are most are going to stay, relatively, stagnant for the first few months. Some are going to shoot up, and maybe a couple will drop a little under that. But all in all, you're going to be better off in the future by having it.
yeah. Well, I mean the Lycias appeal card I feel like is gonna add to the set. I can say that for certain. So I guess the follow-up question is what's next after that, you know? I mean, because realistically, at the end of the day, we know that the Cassiopeia is the most expensive
It's not.
in Shrouded, but is it not anymore?
It's the earthen vessel, dude. The
Dude,
gold earthen.
shout out to competitive playability. This is why we still look at these things.
That's why. That's why.
That's crazy. I'm actually looking at that right now. Wow, the Cassiopeia is the third because the Pheasantipity is now second as well, which is once again because of competitive playability. That's crazy, dude.
Yeah, waifus are losing their luster a little bit.
I mean, but the thing is though, Cassiopeia isn't really a waifu.
Yeah, I guess you're right. What here? That's a good question. What constitutes a waifu?
Man, I don't think that my lawyer would recommend me answering that question.
Chat, what's a waifu? Can you guys define waifu for us?
You know, I think as much as I hate to say it, I feel like with the waifu, it can I don't know. It's like it's like one of those things, right, man? Like you don't know what it is until you see it.
Short skirts and big boobs.
Well, that's not it.
Literally, that's this girl that works in my card shop. We were joking about it, and she literally said that. So she said it. So it's not sexist because she said it.
But that's not even accurate, though. That's not even accurate.
Well, she said Pokemon. She goes, well, all they have to do is make girls with short skirts and big boobs, and they sell well. I'm just like,
well, I mean, yeah, that's if we're talking about whys.
Why shorts? Yeah,
we're talking Pokemon, where it's like, and this sounds
it's true, though,
weird to even say out loud, but it's like, listen, guys, it's 14 and 15-year-olds, like from the anime. Like,
it's definitely effed up.
Low key. It's not low key. It's very creepy. It is kind of creepy that you see that, but I mean, like, because in my mind, when I think of like, okay, what are some of the most popular waifu sets? It's like Marnie, right? Like Marnie is considered to be like a really popular waifu, obviously. And although she has competitive playability, and same with like Iono, there is an appeal to where people look at that character and they're like, yeah, I can totally make a body pillow out of that. That's what it is. It's the body pillow appeal. Can you imagine someone having a body pillow of a Marnie and then you say, yep, that's a waifu? That's literally it right there. That's your answer, Alex.
Dude, you just made it more creepy than I did.
If you can imagine someone using a Marnie as a body pillow, then it then that is by definition what you can probably label as a waifu.
Guys, if you guys were gonna get Eli anything for Christmas this year, you just got your idea.
People, I didn't say me, man.
You just got your idea.
I'm just saying, man. That's what I'm putting out there, because I know there's like anime body pillows is a thing. I'm not even kidding you, bro. I literally went to Japan, obviously, and there was like anime like body pillows up the wazoo there. So like this is not like a crazy statement. Like this is a legit fact. Like it sounds crazy to say, but people are straight up like they're kind of sus when it comes to that.
Sounds good, man. I like it.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. I don't see someone having a Cassiopeia body pillow. That's all I'm saying.
Well, that's your opinion, though. You know.
Well, that's my. You know what? What do I know?
Different strokes for different folks, man.
That is a fair statement.
That's all I'm trying to say.
This is why the Pokemon company doesn't talk about Jinx anymore.
So, can I go ahead and share your game store address?
Yo, that's crazy.
I just want to make sure they know where to send your Christmas gift.
You guys are hilarious. You guys are so funny.
Dude? So not Cassiopeia, send him like a Marnie or an Iono. So what do you like?
Dude, you know what's actually funny? If I did that, I know of someone who would literally be like, yes. They would literally be like, yo, that's a funny joke, Eli. I'm glad everyone was trolling you, Bell. I'd be like, low key, can I have that, please?
You'd have it in the shop for like $500. Someone would buy it too.
Dude, I'm telling you, brother. We have, okay, on a side note though, I do want to see where we can get plushies, because Dude, people love plushies. They all the time ask, "Are those for sale?" And I'm like, "No, they're just display. I'm sorry." I
Yeah, dude,
really
people are
want
selling plushies. They're cleaning up right now. I know
to.
my card shop started carrying a ton of them, and they were just telling me they're
Where do
just
you
like
get them from? They're like, where do you get a plushie supplier?
they are buying some from Japan, and I think they're buying other. I forget where they're getting the other ones, but yeah, they're like they make some deals with like some of the official ones, like the ones that make them on Japan Pokemon Center. And
Like when you say the official ones, are you talking about Pokemon Center website or like actual distributors?
they're the same brand that are on the Pokemon Center Japan website. So and like they said, the margins are like ridiculous on them. I mean, dude, they're selling little plushies that are like this big for like $25, and then if you want to step
100%.
up to the very smaller but bigger one, it's like another like $30 or $35. It is wild what people will pay for those things.
I believe it, man. I've seen Squishmallows. I have a wife. Literally, dude,
How
my
does your wife feel about the anime body pillow though? Is she cool with that?
how she feel about that? I
She,
kept making jokes about that in Japan. I was like, I found your
dude,
replacement.
this is something you thought about. Okay.
Yeah, shut up. What do you
All
mean I've
right,
thought
guys,
about?
the investment stream's over. Thank you for everyone for showing up. We're going to transfer to this conversation now.
You're telling me you don't tease your wife? You're telling me you don't mess with her at all?
Well, no, absolutely. It just anime body pillows has never been just one of the topics that came up.
Yeah, dude. We were in Osaka and they had a claw machine and my wife loves claw machines and there was a body pillow one and I was like, "Hey, look, babe, you can go play for your replacement." I just said that as a joke.
I like it, man. I
I
like
thought it
it.
was clever. I thought it was clever.
Oh, so what are we talking about here? We're investing in stuff.
We're investing in things. Wait, there was something that I was gonna say that I just remembered. That what was there was something you had just said about cleaning up on
Oh, plushies.
yeah, cleaning up on plushies. Oh yeah, yeah. Speaking of plushies. Yeah, no, I believe it, dude. My bed is literally just straight up like Squishmallows at this point. Like my wife always comes home with a new Squishmallow, it feels like every day. So Squishmallows and like especially too at the Pokemon centers in Japan, those sell like crazy. The Squishmallows in specific. Like they have a lot of plushies and people will buy the Pokemon they like, but the Squishmallow Pokemons, yeah, people go crazy for those. That's for sure.
Oh, this was a conversation we had in the Discord we could talk about. Since King Cabal just said you're a flipper. So I was just
Oh,
trying to
nice.
figure out. I was trying to figure out. We were trying to like dissect what time period are you a scalper and then turn into a flipper, and then what makes you an investor? Like we're trying to kind of nail down the time periods.
Well, I don't think it should be defined as a time period thing. I think the problem is, I mean, here's the deal, right? At the end of the day, labels are usually up for interpretation a lot of the times. And although there's a lot of like broad labels that you can use for someone that is widely accepted, there are some that are interpretable. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, right? Some people might say, yeah, when I go to my local Costco and I buy them out of 151 UPCs because they're selling for 79.99, I'm doing it from an investment perspective. But and you could really just buy that and then just sit on it for a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. But then some people might say you're a scalper. I don't care the amount of years you're sitting on it. I see it as you going in and buying a bunch of supply that usually could be, for people to open, and instead you're sitting on it to make a profit. And so that's where I feel like the difference is. Cause like for me personally, right? As much as I would love to go in to a Costco, because let's be real here, distros aren't exactly, reprinting 151 UPCs. As much as I would love to go in a Costco to get more supply, I'm not gonna do it because that's just not in my mind the type of position that I want to be in where I have access to distribution. I take what I get from my distributors because my whole idea is to distribute products for people to purchase, not take that away from people. At least that's how I look at it, right? Because it's an opportunity that I'm now taking away from someone else. Now you might say, "Oh, well, you're just passing that opportunity on at your store," but I don't know. It just feels kind of scummy in a certain way.
You ever see those videos of like people at a ball game when you know, like some 5-year-old catches the foul ball and then someone just like rips it out of their hands. That's kind of like me at like Walmart. If someone has,
I was about to say, I feel like I've seen some security cameras that are oddly familiar.
if there's like kids,
your
like
face looks something. Yeah, okay.
if they got their hand on the last 151 bundle, like I'll straight up just snag it right out of their hands and just be like, life's hard, learn it, you know.
You're like, that's cute, kid. See you, chump. That's
No, I know what you mean though. It does kind of feel scummy.
You're just ripping it out of the just embrace of little children. That's what Alex gets off to, is he just sees just taking the light away from
Hey,
someone's
man,
opportunity to open
you know,
151.
some guys get anime body pillows, other guys do this. It's just
You know, tomato, that's what I'm saying, man.
oh man. No, I mean, someone said talk about the next set. Like, dude, I honestly,
What do you want? Surging Spark? You want us to talk about Surging Spark?
dude, I don't even know. I know nothing about it. Like,
Surging Spark, here's what there is to talk about. I mean, we literally just talked about it briefly. Like I was saying that we have the Lycia card that just got revealed, right? We know that there's going to be a Black Kyurem card, at least of a full art. We don't know if there's going to be an SIR. We don't know if there's going to be an SIR of Pikachu. We don't know if there's going to be an SIR of, like, there's a lot of SIRs that are going to be revealed within the next day or two, and we'll kind of get to that point. But past the Lycia, I'm not really in the position where I think it's worth having a full-on discussion. We'll have more answers in the next couple of days, and we can talk about it more next week.
well, I have a question. I have a question for the chat. Like, I'm like, this is not rhetorical. I want an actual answer. Like, and I'm not like being like, I'm not trying to joke or like put anyone down, but what does it matter to you? Like, a serious question. Like, and leave real answers. Like, what does it matter and what does it change? Like, if you knew everything in the set, like, does it, you can't buy them yet, right? You can already pre-order the set, but you have or haven't yet. Like, what changes? What changes knowing what's in the set and what doesn't? Like, I honestly don't. I honestly don't know. I don't get it, man. Can you explain it?
Well, it's interesting too, because like the only time I ever see a real change is after the set release, or a week to the lead up of set release. I mean, Stellar Crown and Paradise Dragona are a perfect example of that, right? Because Surging Spark. So Stellar Crown, I think we had pre-order numbers for like 1,400 booster boxes. Nothing crazy. I think we're currently at 2,200 boosters at this point, because literally
Hold on. For Stellar or for Surging?
For Stellar Crown, we were at like 1,500. Like after, like, so we have a pre-order deadline, right? And the pre-order deadline is usually like a couple weeks to like a week before the release of any of the cards are revealed. So you are always pre-ordering cards, pre-ordering like sealed product before you know what is available within the set. So people are taking a risk just right there. And as far as it goes, we were sitting at roughly 1,400, 1,500 for Stellar. And then a week before the release for Stellar, right? Or 2 weeks before the release, all of a sudden, we've seen an insane influx of Stellar purchasing. Like, we're up to 2,200 at this point. Like, we had a couple hundred that were picked up in the lead up to Stellar, like, I want to say a month in advance. But realistically, we've had more than half at this point of the new booster boxes that have been picked up have been done so in the past 2 weeks. And so for me, it's like you definitely see a initial speculative investment that people place on pre-orders, and then from there you start to see the lead up of people FOMOing into the set 2 weeks before the set comes out. And let me put it for you this way, right? Just now that you know, right? 1,400 is where we were for Stellar, and 2,200 is what we finished with. Currently speaking, for Surging Spark, I have received 4,000 booster boxes for pre-order. That is nearly triple the amount that I received from Stellar, because we're pre-order guys. I wouldn't be surprised if that number went to 5,000 or 6,000 by the time the set releases. Now, do I have any idea if we're even going to get close to that? I have no clue. I know that we got allocated 3,600 booster boxes for Stellar. So if we really wanted to, we still had another 1,400 I could have filled
Yeah, but
realistically.
I took the Stellar and the other sets no one wanted, so you should give me.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the question, right? Is where does that change the equation for it? So I am sitting here asking myself where that's going to kind of change things from the back end side of the business. But I think the more important thing that we're kind of trying to take away from this is that the opinion is already in on surging regardless of the reveal. People are putting in triple the amount, at least within my program, for booster box quantities of surging because they're anticipating it to be an incredible set, even though we haven't gotten the full review of Paradise Dragona, let alone Supercharged Breaker. Like it's literally like people are making that risk because they believe it's going to be worth it.
I think it's impossible to know right now because like everyone online's got a story. No one's going to ever tell the truth if they were wrong or right. It'd be nice if we like started taking a poll and actually like kept that poll. Like if we had enough people on the internet all take a poll, like if we had PokeRev do it, right? But he doesn't really do investing. Maybe like PokeVault, like one of the people with tons and tons of followers, and took a poll, a month before set release when it was like in that time frame, and ask everyone, do you think this is going to be one of the best sets? Are you investing in it? Because I see people in chat, they were answering my question saying, I don't have infinite money or storage space, so I have to like decide. Someone said like I skip Shrouded and Obsidian. Like, well, Obsidian's outperforming, Base and Paradox and Temporal right now. And so it's like I'd love to see if people can really guess on which sets are going to be good and which sets are going to perform bad that far before release. I truly don't think you can do it. I really think people think they're smarter than they are. I really don't think at the end of an era, all 12 mainline booster box sets, if you bet on all of those a month before release, I really don't think you could get it right. I don't think you could get the majority of them right. That's my personal opinion. That's why I don't really worry about it too much. But if you think you can, maybe you can. That's kind of where my mindset's going.
I feel like there's always going to be a couple of like home runs, and then there's going to be a handful of ones that you may think are going to be bad, but I feel like it's easier to pick the good ones than it is the bad ones. Because if you really think about it, like Shrouded is only the clearest one that we've seen so far that we've said, yeah, this sucks. But realistically, I think that just comes down to the fact that there's just nothing in the set. Like there's just not really a ton of cards to go after. Versus Paldea Evolved and Twilight Masquerade, it's a completely different perspective because there has been so much debate and so much sentiment change around those two sets in particular. But at the end of the day, the one thing that's been consistent with those two sets is there has been a ton of polls regardless, right? Like they're just bigger sets compared to Shrouded. Like Shrouded's a much smaller set, and so there is a convolution towards getting the same card over and over again versus chasing a finite amount of pulls. Because even if you say the pull rates are the same for IRs, if there's 20 different IRs versus 10 different IRs, the odds of me pulling that Magikarp are going to be way more difficult because I still have so many other cards that are going to like saturate the IR pulls that I'm going to be getting. You know what I mean?
Oh, I get it. I just don't know, man. Like I just look back and I'm like, no one picked evolutions. Like no one could have told you Forbidden Light or Ultra Prism will do what they're doing. Like everyone was behind Brilliant Stars. Everyone thought that was a home run, and it's like it's middle of the road. Like it's just like I just think people overestimate their ability to be able to pick winners and losers.
I
Like
mean, I think Brilliant's fantastic. I think it's fantastic.
it
I think,
is.
I
It
mean,
is,
I
but what I'm
love
saying
Brilliant.
it's middle of the road in terms of performance wise in the era, and so it's like it's like when you look at things, it's like well, Brilliant's like 180 and Darkness Blaze is 155, and you got like
Let me get your okay, well let me ask you this. Let me get your perspective on this because I want to see what you kind of classify as good performance. In the performance of Sword and Shield, right? Take prices out of it where booster boxes are. Where would you put Lost Origin in terms of how it's performed compared to other booster boxes? Where'd you
second
rank
best,
it?
second best.
Okay. So then we're in agreement on that. Cuz my thing is obviously just because fusion is worth more doesn't mean it's performed better, right? You know what I
Honestly,
mean?
right now, Lost may have eclipsed it again, but yeah, just because Sword and Shield base or Rebel Clash or more doesn't. they were up, in my opinion, because of the pandemic. They didn't get reprints with booster boxes, and so they've, you know, again, it's hard to make these statements. Like technically, they are performing better. You know, like they're even if you take time frames, they were released way before Lost Origin. Like Sword and Shield base is a $300 box. It's still moved up more in its time it's been out than Lost Origin has in its time if you take like the ratio or whatever. But like yeah, for the time Lost Origin's been out, it's outperforming pretty much every other box.
Well, because I look at Brilliant and I'm like, although like Lost Origin's been performing better, Brilliant's an interesting situation where it came out the gate at 180 and then it got a reprint. Price got dropped down to like it dropped quite a bit. It dropped down to like 105, 110, I think. And then it climbed back up, hit 200, then got a small resupply, small reprint, whatever you want to call it, in last year in May, and that dropped the price down to 130, and then the price hit 200 again, and then obviously we saw that small resupply again that happened this year, like a couple months ago, and the price dropped down to like 170-ish, and now here we are again. Like I guess the point that I'm making with this is, although I do think Lost Origins perform better, Brilliant Stars has now hit almost $200 3 times at this point. So it keeps trying to break above that $200 price point, but then the supply keeps kind of lowering that opportunity. And so for me, I think Brilliant is definitely, it sounds weird to say it's a sleeper pick because it's at 180, but in the grand scheme of things, the volatility of price strength that we've seen Brilliant have is one where I feel like at the end of this holiday season, you could easily see Brilliant Stars start to play catch up with Lost Origin. Like, and it's not like they're that far away now, but like they could be neck and neck for all we know.
No, I'm with you. It's just like what I'm trying to like break through is like this constant debating and worrying and like this like emotion behind every set and worrying about all the cards. Like it was okay. Astral Radiance was not liked, right? Anywhere near what like, you know, Brilliant Stars was. Even Silver Tempest was liked more. They're all within the same price range, basically 10, 15, $20 apart. And it's like you do all this debating in your head and back and forth and worrying about putting money here, putting money there. And it's just like if you just bought them all at release, one, you're up on all of them pretty good. And two, they're all kind of around the same price point. You're not like, you know, setting the world on fire with any of them and you're not losing on any of them. So it's just like,
but I don't know. I would disagree with that because for me, when they did the reprint for Silver Tempest or Lost Origin, the question I asked myself was which one's going to do better, and I chose Lost Origin.
No, I was just more talking about like buying at release, like right now when everyone's worried about Stellar Crown, Surging Spark, all this stuff. Like, do I pre-release? Do I wait? It's just like,
oh well, I guess I'm looking at it from the. I'm not looking at it from the release conversation. More or less the looking at opportunities past the release.
Oh yeah. I mean, obviously, Lost Origin was the best pickup at reprint. It was no question.
Because like Brilliant, you know, Brilliant we're looking at now, and I'm just like, I think Brilliant's it's a good opportunity, right? Because ultimately, at the end of the day, I think that Brilliant's a better set than Silver. I mean, that's just me personally, which is always funny to say because there is a bigger chase in Silver, but like, I don't know. I think Brilliant's just gonna curate a lot better, like long term.
It's definitely better in Silver, in my opinion, too, man.
Yeah, I don't know. Silver's an interesting set, but at the end of the day, as much as I hate to say it, opinions on or sets are gonna constantly change based on the value of the cards within it. Like that's just the reality of the situation, right?
Because I can see every price point, it's a different play.
Right.
And like you said, like it might make sense now to buy Brilliant, and then if Brilliant jumps to 300 and Lost is still sitting at 220, well, now it might make more sense to buy Lost. It's the same thing I went through with the Charizard UPCs. Like I took massive amounts of heat when those things were released and they were going for like 150. And I said, I don't think this is a good buy. Like I think this is a terrible buy. I think there's all these other buys. And then it dropped to 80 and everyone said I was flip-flopping. I'm like, no, this is a completely different play at $80, $85 than it was at 150, 120. And
well, so And I feel like people need to understand that is when we
Yeah.
say we like a set, we're not talking from the perspective of like, oh, we think the cards are necessarily cool within the set. Although that can play a part into our liking of a set, the thing we're talking about more than anything is the investability of the set. And do we think it's good at where it is currently, right? Because at the end of the day, if Twilight is performing well, that doesn't change my perspective on how I personally feel about Twilight as a set. Like my stance on Twilight, the only thing that I've changed in terms of my stance on Twilight is where I think about it from an investability perspective. I still don't like Twilight as a set personally, but that's just because for me, there's just not a lot of chase cards that I really care for. Like, sure, we can sit here and try and go for the Greninja, or
That's all it
there's some
needs.
competitively viable cards that you can pull in it that make it less like painful to open while you're chasing it. But ultimately, at the end of the day, there isn't any specific card arts that appeal to me as a collector personally that make me enjoy the set, and that's why I don't like it. But that doesn't change the fact of the matter that I am still going to talk positively about the set because I do think there is such an investability aspect to Twilight that you have to be able to talk past your personal biases based off of what you like as a collector. And that's what I at least feel like we're trying to do here more than anything, right? Because that's what matters, right? Like I sit here and talk about how much I love the Diamond and Pearl era, but I'm never going to tell you guys to go invest in a Diamond and Pearl booster box because I think it's such a fantastic investment. It's like, no, obviously not. Like there's so many better boxes that you can invest in that you're going to make way more money off of, right? So that's kind of my distinction in how I look at things, right? And Astral is obviously another good example of that. I mean, Astral is one of those sets where it's got the Machamp, and that Machamp card is going for 130, and people like chasing the Machamp card. Like there are other cards within the set that you can chase, but realistically speaking, if it weren't for that Machamp card, that's the set right now would be looked at completely differently. Because people looked at that set completely differently until the Machamp ran up. Like I remember Astral was like ridiculously cheap. You could get it for in the 80s for the longest time, and then the champ had a run up, and then all of a sudden the set is now 110, 115, 120. And then it starts to perform better from there because now the perspective of the set has changed.
Yeah, I just think it's funny. It's like Brilliant Stars I'm looking at, it's selling for 185, right? Astral selling for 170. Silver Tempest is selling for 160s.
Okay.
They're
I mean,
all within $20 of each other.
right. Well, so then, I mean, I feel like this is an easy answer for me, but for you, of those three, which would you prefer to have at their price points?
Brilliant's a better set. I'm just thinking Astral might be much lower printed, which might help long term.
I mean, but I think Brilliant's much higher demand.
Yeah. Yeah.
think
If I had to
demand
choose
is
one,
higher.
I'd take Brilliant. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for me personally, Brilliant's always been one that's been high demand. Always. Like,
my point is like I could see that being like, you know, Surging Spark, Stellar Crown, Temporal Forces, Paradox, like in 3 years, 2 years. I could see all those sets being like 150, 160, 170, 180, and everyone freaking out about which ones to buy, which ones not to. And it's just like, dude, they're all about the same.
I'm gonna probably eat my words on this. But like, you know how I kept comparing like how they evolved to like the Rebel Clash of like the Scarlet and Violet era? Because if you look at the like format layout of how the set is compared to Rebel Clash, they're almost identical in the way the set's laid out. Obviously, the main
You're crazy.
distinction.
You're crazy.
It's not crazy. That's literally a
It's
fact.
got every starter and every legendary in it. What is Rebel Clash doesn't have that?
Rebel Clash has all the starters within the set. It's got multiple of the legendaries. It doesn't have all the legend. It doesn't have like the Zacian Zamazenta from the base.
Now on
But
top
like,
of that, you have a Magikarp, Tyranitar, Raichu. Like, I mean, a main waifu where it's like Boss's Orders is like the main card there. It's got Sonya, but I don't know, man. I think that's a hard comparison there. I think you could compare Rebel Clash to Guardians Rising closer.
nah. I mean, the layout of the set is pretty simplistic in terms of how I at least look at it with the cards perspective, right? You've got obviously and it's hard to look at because you're looking at it from a price point, right? They obviously had their main waifu, and it obviously had its main waifu, which is Sonya, right? Then you obviously had the starters in that set. It had the starters in this set. You obviously had the throwback vintage card that people really liked, which was the Magikarp. And for us, it was the boss's orders, right? About the only and it also, they both had competitively viable cards within them as well that made them a popular set. Like the only real like main distinction between the two sets, I would say, is in terms of set layout. Please understand this is what I'm saying, is the legendary differences, which at the end of the day, if you took both of the sets and obviously you took away the art designs from Paldea Evolved, you ask yourself the question how the set would perform comparatively. But like that's the same like distinction I've been making forever. Like the reason why Paldea Evolved has performed so well is because it's got incredible art designs. But realistically speaking, when the set first came out, people kept looking at the set and they kept saying that like this set is just basically our version of Rebel Clash that we're getting from the Sword and Shield era. And people were crapping on it for that reason. Like, I know it sounds crazy for me to say that right now, but literally, this is what I've been saying since the release of the set. Like, people looked at the set and said, hey, this is Rebel Clash, but just with better artworks. And I don't really care for the set because I don't care for the Pokemon in it. Which, obviously you gave a ton of different cards that are good examples as to why the set is good. I'm just telling you the thought process that a lot of people had previously and how the bias has kind of changed on the set. That's at least how I look at it, right? Because and so this is kind of the lead up to what I'm about to say, I guess, when comparing Stellar Crown. I wouldn't be surprised if Stellar Crown is looked at as the battle styles of Sword and Shield. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, you have to think about it from this way, right? And maybe people aren't getting the comparisons I'm making, but I'm talking about these things from like not only a set layout perspective, because Pokemon loves to make similar layouts with sets. There's a reason why we've got a Charizard set as one of the first 3 sets in the past 5 generations, right? But like you have your second halves, right? And realistically speaking, the start of our second half for the Sword and Shield era was Battle Styles. If you look at Battle Styles face value, it's a good set, but it is definitely the worst of the alternate art sets. And for that reason, that's why it's performed the way it has. And so ultimately, at the end of the day, Stellar Crown's exciting because Stellar Crown is going to be part of that second half of the Scarlet and Violet era. Obviously, you've got the Tropicos art, which is a really cool design. But past like the Tropicos, the Squirtle, the Bulbasaur and stuff, it isn't like a very deep set in the same way as some of the sets, such as if you look at Chilling Reign in comparison. Chilling Reign is an extremely deep set. Fusion, not as deep, but still a pretty deep set. Evolving, extremely deep set. And so you look at battle styles compared to all those other sets and how much thinner it was. And all of a sudden, it feels like it's a fish out of water when you're comparing it. And so for me, although I am a fan of Stellar, I think Stellar is going to perform good. I think it's a set that I personally like. As a whole, we're going to look back and we're going to say it's going to now have to compete with Surging Spark. It's going to have to compete with, the Team Rocket set and whatever next crazy sets that we're going to get. Because obviously we know there's going to be some sort of gym set that's probably going to be released, if I were to guess, just based on the fact that, trainer cards are back. And people are going to look at it and say it's the weakest of all of them because, it's a victim of the evolution of the second half now looking so much better. Because right now, Stellar just has to compete with the first half of the Scarlet and Violet era, which is going to feel a lot more like underwhelming compared to the second half, in my opinion, right? I know we haven't seen that yet, but it just makes sense based off of the fact that we already know that there's a huge amount of demand for Surging, Terrestrial Festival, and Team Rocket. Does that make sense?
No, yeah, on the micro like level of breaking them down, like I mean, I get what you're saying. I'm just looking on the macro level. I just think people need to stop worrying so much. I really do. Like, you know what's funny? It's just like I was just doing the math on my phone. If you would tell people that their stock market portfolio would make like 20% a year, they would think you're a liar. Like you get laughed off of Wall Street. Like, oh, I can guarantee 20% a year. And it's just like I was doing the math for like Astral, Brilliant, and Silver. Like these sets, even after, guys, you can take out your 13.5% eBay fees, your shipping. These are still producing 50, 60+% gains in like a year and a half, 2.5 years. That's unheard of for any other investment class. But because it's Pokemon, people have a problem with it. Like, oh, it's just not enough, Alex. I don't want to put money in a set that's only going to be $160 in 2 years. Like, what are you talking about? You could have bought the Sword and Shield sets for 90 at release, and you're worried about being like, it blows my mind that people are worried about pre-releasing sets for $90, $95. And like, well, Alex, what if it's only $150 in 2 years? So you made 50 something percent, even after fees and shipping, you're up like what, 20% a year, whatever it may be, 15%. Like, it's just, I don't know, man. It seems so obvious to me, but I don't know. Maybe if people are worried about like the minor things in the sets, and I get it, it's just seems like a no-brainer place.
I mean, when I say that, like, when I say these statements, I say it from the psychological perspective of how people view things. I don't talk about this from like the perspective of an anti-argument, right? I don't say that I think that Stellar is going to be a battle style, therefore you should not touch it. That's not what I mean when I say that. So I don't want people to take that like out of context or misconstrue more or less what I am saying. Because like,
let me let you finish in a second. I do want to respond because I get this question all the time about like storage fees. Look, if you guys are literally in a place where you can't store stuff, one, there's no way. Like even small apartments and even houses have enough space for a shelf. I even showed how one of those Home Depot shelving units I talk about can hold 100 cases. All right. You can definitely have one shelf that can hold 100 cases in your house. All right. Just booster boxes. If you don't have enough space, don't do ETBs. Don't do collection boxes. Just do booster boxes. You can hold 100 cases on one shelf. Two, if you get into the point where space is an issue, this means you're probably in the 6 figures by now. So if you have 6 figures in Pokemon, and even insurance and getting a storage unit, you're probably talking about 1% or less a year of what it's costing you to have that product. And so even at 1% burn rate, you're still doing better than a lot of these traditional investments. So I just had to respond to that because I hate that argument. It's a bad argument. So either one, you don't have enough to worry about storage, or two, if you have enough to worry about storage, it becomes such a small percentage of your total investment, and the burn rate on it isn't going to hurt your overall gains because the gains are still outperforming everywhere else. So, but you like go to your statement. I had to respond to that.
No, you're good, dude. No, I was just gonna say I don't want people to take me out of context when I make these statements comparing them to other sets. I'm making that comparison because there is inherently an emotional sentiment that people have when it comes to constantly comparing. Like that's just the reality of human nature. People are always going to compare. People are always going to have their predisposed biases as to why they kind of like certain things over another. And so ultimately at the end of the day, yes, I think that Paldea Evolved is worlds away from Rebel Clash. I don't think that it's anywhere near as bad of a set as Rebel. Rebel is a terrible set. Paldea Evolved is an amazing set. But ultimately, at the end of the day, there was an emotional sentiment that played in to that set in the same way that every single base set that's ever come out ever is always crapped on because it's a base set. People just emotionally look at things and they label it regardless of the facts of, hey, this is maybe the best base set we've ever had from an artwork perspective. Oh, but no, it's a base set. No one cares for base sets, right? And so it's all of a sudden going to be seen a lot differently, right? And so that's just kind of the point that I really wanted to make with that, because I don't want people to see this as like an anti-argument, because if Paldea Evolved gets a reprint, I'm going to go super heavy on Paldea Evolved. Like, it's performed really well. It's going to perform really well. Stellar's a set. We'll see how the pull rates go. I don't think Stellar is going to perform bad by any means. I think it's going to perform solid still. And that doesn't mean that all of a sudden you should just skip Stellar for surging. Because like Alex was saying, realistically speaking, Obsidian Flames, terrible set, but it's still performing really well for how the set is at currently. So you always have to be able to understand that there's going to be opportunities within new set releases regardless. It just means that you can still kind of get a gauge for sentiment on things, and then that determines how heavy you realistically want to go in on this set.
Yeah. I'm with you there.
Do you want to, we've been going for over an hour as it is. Do you want to just answer a couple of questions? Obviously it seems like there's some responses that you kind of want to get to.
I'm just going back and forth, man. Just because, like, I don't know, like I wouldn't say like I care, like, cause I do what I do. I'm doing what I do for like, what, 7, 8 years now, investing like seriously. I've been in the hobby for 9. And it's just like, I just want all the information to be correct out there. Cause like a lot of people, like they hear certain things and it can turn them off. Like, you know, the percentage gains are the percentage gains. Like everyone's always worried about taxes and shipping and all that. It's like, you can work taxes and shipping into this. The numbers still work, right? It's just, and then people work taxes in. It's like, well, just because you don't get taxed on like maybe like a 401k or something, you get taxed at the end when you take your money out. If you're investing in a stock portfolio that isn't in a like tax advantage retirement account, you're paying taxes when you sell shares on that too. So it's just like taxes are always a part of life. Shipping and fees, you can work them into the price. The math still adds up. I mean, it's like most of this product, it's been very consistent, like 15-20% a year. And it's just like that math anywhere else, it just makes perfect sense to invest. And so it's just that's why I like to correct people and talk back on it. But no, I'm cool to take any questions, man.
Cool, for sure. And you know what I realized? I never said it. Make sure leave a like, subscribe, hit the notification button, leave a comment, guys. It really does help the channel. And if you're interested in getting access to wholesale for Pokemon, make sure you check out the link down in the description below to join the wholesale program. I forgot about that.
You got to take Variance's question. Eli, do you have any recommendations for sourcing forever stamps below face value?
People are crazy on this, man, and asking that question.
He's asking you.
I mean, I've said this before, man, but I mean, it's just become a meme at this point in me discussing it.
That's why we love it.
It's a fun time, man. I mean, like I said before, man, you got to go straight to the source, go down to your local jail. And what you're going to do is you're going to want to talk to the warden. And from there, you'll be able to get access to a massive amount of inmates' personal phone numbers. You might have to do a couple of like special conjugate visitations in order to really get the good deals. But hey, I'm telling you, man, you'll get these prison stamps at a discount you've never seen before ever. So just kind of putting it out there. That's the best way to go about getting prison stamps. It's not it's not the cleanest way of going about it. Trust me, my hands are pretty sticky, but at the end of the day, you're going to be rolling in the dough when you see how much money you're saving doing this. Alex is over here.
Just go buy them on eBay at your own risk.
Alex.
That's what it is, right? Just go buy it on eBay at your own risk. It works. It works like 99% of the time, and go with it.
Oh man, this is an interesting one. But is it really an interesting one? Okay.
Pull it up.
Hold on. This made me think of another question, actually, that I have for you on Lost Origin. But before we get into Lost Origin, here's the deal. 151 UPC, I guess. Where do you see it end of 24? I mean, let's be real here. People are always going to ask predictions.
It depends if it gets reprinted. Like if it gets, so I don't think it's going to get reprinted here. It depends if 151 gets reprinted, because if it does, the price per pack will fall, the singles will fall, which in turn will drop the UPC. But reprint or not, I think the UPCs will hold up way better because of the promos and because I think it's going to be more scarce than bundles or ETBs in the future, because I think those will be reprinted.
You keep cutting out. It sounds like you get farther away.
Oh, so with the exception of PC ETBs, I think UPCs are going to be the best investment in 151, because even if a reprint happens, it's going to affect probably bundles and ETBs and not UPCs again. And so with no reprint, I mean, going through the holiday season, dude, we could see 151 crazy. Like, I don't know. I don't think like 170, 180 is out of the question with no reprint by the end of December. That's my opinion. With a reprint, you don't know how big the reprint is, what gets reprinted. Who knows? I don't see them ever getting back to what you could have bought them for at Costco, though. I don't ever see $90 UPCs again or $80 UPCs again. So that's kind of I would say without a reprint, 170, 180. With one, maybe you get back down to 110, 120. I don't know.
I mean, my thing is I like to obviously talk about it from the perspective of not necessarily like a yearly thing, right? It's so easy to say end of 2024, end of 2025, but I like looking at it past the holiday season, going into like the first 4, 5, 6 months of the new year. because ultimately I believe that once you see the pass of the holiday season, this is when the Pokemon Company tends to not reprint product as much. Like you'll get small resupplies that happen usually around the May time, sometimes April, sometimes June, but it's usually around May. We've seen this pretty consistently at this point every single year, or at least every year I've been in the hobby, right? This year, it was the small resupply of the Lost Origin and Brilliant Stars boosters. The year before that, it was the small resupply of the Brilliant Stars Astral Radiance boosters. I could keep going, right? But like the point that I'm trying to illustrate here, more or less, is that when scarcity hits because the product is no longer flowing, then you start to see that kind of maturity of a lot of the sealed product go up in value. And so if I'm looking at 151 UPC, my time frame on when I think it'll start to move is realistically within the first quarter or 2 quarters of 2025. So I could easily see the price of what's it at right now? It's like 130, right?
No, I think it's like closer to 150.
Is it closer to 150? Has it moved up that much already?
I believe. I'll look up right now.
You're farther away again.
Hold on.
You're good. It literally just sounds like you're far. So if you get closer, then you sound great.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's at
high
140. Yeah, it's
140s.
150. It's basically 150, right? So
Yeah.
I don't think it's unrealistic to say it breaks over 200 by first quarter or second quarter of 2025.
Yeah, and then to comment on what Walter Black's saying in the chat. So guys, a reprint, an actual reprint means it goes through distributors. It gets distributed out to all the LGSs, everyone that has distribution. Anytime you see random bits of products sprout out like here or there, Walmart or Pokemon Center, those aren't reprints, right? They're just small restocks, nowhere near as much supply as what you see. You can think about this, guys. Think of every LGS across the entire country, every online retailer that has distribution, they're all getting product from all distributors. Think of how much that is compared to like some stock shows up at Costco's or Walmart's, or it's not even close. So no, like none of the stuff going on right now, random bundles here, this or that. That's not
Well,
151's
you
not getting
also
reprint.
have to think the levels in which reprints happen, right? Because it's levels to it. You're gonna have reprints in which the ones that are really gonna play an effect are usually ones where it's pre-allocated or it is pre-orders are placed for it. We saw that with Crown Zenith and 151 the last time it got a reprint. I literally had my rep say, "Hey, we're taking pre-orders for 151, put in your numbers." And that was after the set had come out. It was like literally 3 months after the set release. So it's like that's what they'll typically do, or they'll say, "Hey, we're getting a reprint for 151. Here's how much we're getting." That's like at a grand scale. But then you'll also have instances in which there's like a reprint, but realistically, it's on a borderline size of like a slightly greater resupply. And you have to come in and buy it as like a bundle because there's so few of it that there isn't like a ton for them to just distribute. And so you end up having to go pick it up from certain distributors at either much higher than what you would typically see on like a larger scale reprint, or you're going to have to buy it in some sort of bundle that typically is being passed on from distributor via the Pokemon company itself or the manufacturer.
What about the Crown Zenith bundles?
What about Crown Zenith? That one is actually, it's funny you say that. I need to show people that. I did get an email about that yesterday
Because
regarding.
that guys, that is a reprint.
Well, they're bundling that. I know for certain. I'll be interested to see what the supply is going to be. I'll have to look at the bundle. I got it in an email yesterday, but I haven't sent it out yet. So I'll have to see what that
What
looks
about
like.
Distro 3? Like they have it for open order.
I'll have to call them and see, because it's hard with distro 3. Distro 1 and 2 are the most reliable. Distro 3 loves to limit order everything. Same with distro 4. That's what makes it hard. Distro 1 doesn't give a frick. They're like, we're just here to make money. We're going to give you everything. Obviously there'll be instances of bundles, but like, I mean, you remember the bundle deal that we had where it was technically a bundle, but was it really? It was you buy 2 Silver Tempest Build and Battle stadiums. In exchange, you get access to a wholesale price of Paldea Evolved Build and Battles, or sorry, booster bundle, which was like insane because you were buying it for 168 and you could have easily broken down the Silver Tempest packs and sold them off. And like booster bundles at the time were going for like $330 a display. So like the margins were crazy. I mean, it's the booster bundles have dropped since then because there was so much that was available. I think it's like $270 now for a booster bundle display, but like it's still really good margins on an opportunity like that. So I'll go look at the bundle. I'll make an announcement about it later in the wholesale chat for those that are part of the program, and we can kind of see what the numbers are on that. But I mean, yeah, it'll be interesting to see if we get a real like reprint without some sort of crazy garbage bundle we have to pick up, because we've yet to see that so far. Or if there is going to be one that we'll be able to pick up a lighter, more palatable bundle like we kind of saw with Paldea. But
Ant says he was sticking up for you on my stream about your Prius models. You're welcome.
He was sticking up for me?
Apparently.
Oh, about my Prius thing? Oh my god. Dang, what a I appreciate that, Ant. I didn't know that I was gonna get so much hate for liking a Prius Prime. It's just the Prime, bro. It's not the other models. I like the Prius Prime. It looks nice and it's fuel efficient. Sue me. What was I gonna say though? Okay, so here's the real question. And this doesn't surprise me, but Lost Origin is ranging right about 210 to 220 at this point. That's kind of where it's been sitting the past 2 months at this point. Where do you think it is end of year compared to like, because in all honesty, at this point, we're 3 months away from the end of the year. I don't really see it moving much. I don't see it moving until like Q1, Q2 of 2025. That's kind of my opinion. That's why whenever someone asks me a question of my predictions and I'm like, yeah, LO to 300, I never say like by end of 2024. I always say by first or second quarter of 2025. I don't know if your sentiment's the same or not.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just all Sword and Shields in that lull right now, or the whole, the news cycle has changed, the sentiments change. It's no longer like Sword and Shields, the most goated era ever. Throw all your money in it. Scarlet Violet sucks. Everything sucks. The only thing that's good, Sword and Shield. And so since that rhetoric kind of died a little bit, everything's kind of stagnant. I think there will be a time when things come back though, and when that happens, you're gonna hear buyout manipulation talk again. Remember that. You are going to hear this again. Remember when I said this on this stream, 9/10/2024. You'll hear people saying there's buyouts and manipulation happening, and there's not. What happens is there's a lot of demand that will return to the Sword and Shield alt art sets all at once for whatever reason. And I think those boxes will jump drastically, like we talked about. Like they'll go from, high 100s, low 200s to like 300 range, like 350, stuff like that, pretty much overnight, like in a couple months. And so I think you could be right. I think like Q1, Q2 could happen.
People are asking the question, man. They're asking the important questions.
You gotta do the credit card stream. You gotta get Ty Lopez on here, bro.
Oh my god, is that his thing? Does Ty Lopez do that? He better not.
That was one of his courses back in the day with his SC MMA courses.
God, I can't stand Ty Lopez. Him in his garage with his Lambo.
Social media marketing.
Got that knowledge, bro. He's got that knowledge, dude. Nah, man. Okay. This is probably a serious question. So I'm going to answer it as a serious question because I want to, because I get excited about this. If you are someone that has access to credit cards, this is literally like, and you earn credit card points, this is all you need to know. I'll make it quick. I'll make it simple. Here's things to consider. One, if you have an Amex, if you have a Chase, you should, for the most part, and you got to look this up for Chase because certain ones allow you to transfer, but you should have access to transfer partners. What you're going to want to do from there is you are going to want to use your points to transfer out to the transfer partners that are available, right? That is just the way in which you go about it. However, I think what's even more important than that is when you do transfer your points that you've earned from Amex or Chase, there tends to be about once a month between both of these like card issuers transfer bonuses where you'll typically transfer a point 1-for-1 to like a transfer partner, but instead it'll be like 1.2 or 1.3 per one. So it's basically an extra 30% or 20% points by transferring. So what I personally, this is just me personally, and that's because I'm flexible, right? Like to do is I wait until there's a really good transfer bonus going on. And from there, I will then take advantage of that transfer bonus to maximize the potential opportunity that I have, right? So like a really good example is Hawaiian Airlines was doing a transfer bonus. If you have Amex, you can transfer to Hawaiian Airlines. And so typically, if you're going to want to go fly first class in their Dreamliner, it usually is going to cost you upwards of $3,000 round trip. Whereas I am able to, because of the transferring, am able to book 40,000 points each way if you just go straight up to transferring it to Hawaii, which is a solid value, right? That's the cheapest you're typically able to find it. However, there was an additional 20% point transfer bonus for last month. And so what you then would have done instead was you would have then transferred out your points, got that extra 20%, and instead of you paying 40,000 points, you were paying like 33,000 points or something like that. So you end up saving yourself over $100. So, or 30, it would be 32,000. So you end up saving yourself like about $100. And so it's a really good deal if you wait for those transfer bonuses. Me personally, if you don't want to do that, obviously that's one way to go about it. If you don't have access to Hawaiian Airlines, then what I would highly recommend is every single transfer, like for example, Capital One has them, Citi has them, just about every single like card issuer has them. Virgin Atlantic, they always every single year have a 30% point transfer bonus. I usually wait for that because they partner with some of the other airlines such as Hawaiian, and usually what you can do is you can book Hawaiian flights by calling in from Virgin. That's a little bit more of like an advanced way of going about it, and I personally pay for some like notification services that allow me to like know when that happens because there is much more limited availability. There's one called Straight to the Points, which I mean, some people like it, some people don't. I'm less of a fan of Straight to the Points. I personally enjoy using more of, I'm trying to find Thrifty Traveler, which literally all I'm explaining right now, Alex, is literally just straight up notification services that you can sign up for and pay for. And then they'll tell you like, hey, so-and-so is doing a flash sale for points on this flight. It's an easy way of doing it. Or another website I use is seats.aero, which allows you to basically take every single website that has an airline and it puts it all in one place and you can search filter the best deals that are going on. So if you're literally like, hey, I want to fly from here to here, then I can just do that. But that's kind of the simplistic way I would say I'm going about it. Why are you laughing at me right now, bro?
No, I'm not.
I
I'm
see you
laughing at the
giggling
chat.
over there.
The chat, like Pika Pika said, "LO, I asked the question to stir up Eli's passion. Apparently, went too far."
Man, people are going to sleep, bro. Eli going off
I'm
tangent.
just reading the chat. No, I'm not laughing at you. I'm just laughing at the chat.
Man, people are absolutely hating on me. He asked the question. I don't know, man.
No, you're doing the right thing. It's just we're all just having fun here, man. I'm just trying to get through the day and so I can get to bed and cuddle with my waifu pillow, man. Come on.
That's crazy, man. I'm over here trying to help people take advantage of these points, and I'm just getting crapped on for it.
You're trying to help the community.
While on the talk of credit cards, which one do you use for your business? Spending a ton on labels every month. Well, if you're spending specifically on labels, like I assume you mean like shipping labels, then that would be the Chase Ink Preferred, I think is the one I use. I always get the Premier and the Preferred mixed up. Yeah, it's the Preferred. I use the Chasing Preferred personally.
And then Walter wants a detailed analysis on Rakuten versus Retail Me Not.
Jeez Louise. I'm not. No, I'm just getting trolled at this point. I'm not going to do that.
This is serious stuff. Stop.
I'm just going to get trolled.
What is it? What are the main bullet point differences?
Well, Rakuten, you get. So I don't know. Retail Me Not. I don't really use them. I have used Rakuten before. Rakuten, it just basically allows you to have the option to get cash back on all your purchases. And it has multiple ways in which you can redeem those cashback purchases. And one of them is by transferring them to Amex points. So you can literally create a like extension with Rakuten, earn Amex points while just shopping online. And so like one of the things that a lot of people did was during GameStop, they would buy Pokemon product from GameStop using their Amex card and then also have Rakuten as a web extension and then earn Rakuten points. Sometimes it's upwards of 10% on Rakuten purchases. I remember Macy's was also one that people did as well because Macy's was having like a, a Pokemon deal at one point and you were able to buy ETBs for like really cheap. And so it was like 10% or something crazy like that. And so you would literally go buy Pokemon with a credit card, earn cash back, and then also get Rakuten point cash back. So Lego's another one. I think I've seen upwards of 20% with Legos, which is crazy for like cash back on it. Which you can always go straight the cash rate, but obviously
So
for someone like
what do you
myself.
do with the cash back? I don't know about any of these things. So like you have to use the cash back on like Rakuten
Well, they've
side.
got like 3 options. It's like you either redeem it to like your Rakuten account for like they have it one they call it a big fact check, and basically they just write you a check and then it just gets delivered to you in the mail, or like the MX one. I can't remember what the
So
third
this
option
is a
is.
free service and they literally give you cash back.
I mean, let's be real here. It's a free service, but they're just using the extension to just basically monitor your spending habits so that they can push it more for their service. Because I wouldn't be surprised if your information is being sold off to these
Well, of course it
advertised.
is. Like they have to make money, but like
Yeah.
other than your information being sold off, like it's literally a free service for free cash.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, yeah, that's literally it. So I use Rakuten. I mean, I get, pretty I mean, I don't do a lot of online shopping personally. I spend most of my money on my distributors, but if there is an opportunity, yeah, sometimes I'm going to go in and like, "Oh, I'm going to buy something from GameStop. I'll get my extra percentage back." Which I don't think they do GameStop as much anymore, but I mean, like I said before, you've seen other retailers that have gotten those opportunities.
Yeah.
Um
Siles Games, he's asked a couple times, what do you price slabs and what do
le-
you look at
let me finish real quick on Galaxies cuz I never got to really answer
Oh,
his. But yeah, just so that he can know it. And this is good for anyone to know. Ink Business Preferred, for those of you guys that do a lot of shipping, it gets 3x points back on shipping. So like literally if you do a lot for shipping like UPS, like let me put it for you this way. For for Stellar Crown, we spent like 6 or 7 grand on shipping. And I'm just talking just labels. I'm not even talking about material costs. And so earning 3x back on that, like that right there is like 18,000 plus points, which doesn't sound like a lot, but like it adds up really quickly. And so if you are someone that does, spend a lot of materials, heck, it even codes for people that have Shippo. So if you have Shippo, you don't have to use directly USPS or UPS. You can use Shippo and you can buy materials and put it on the card and it'll get you 3x. It also does advertising. So if there are people that are into advertising, internet, cable, phone services, social media, that's the one I would recommend if you're doing a lot for specifically buying labels. But sorry, who asked the slab question you said?
Silas Games, SYLS Games. What do you use to price slabs? What do you look at recent sales or average sold?
You're gonna be
So
better for me than this. I
I
mean,
mean,
I
yeah,
can
I
tell you
look
what the
at so
store does.
yeah. Well, I mean, what I do is I don't really worry about recent sales unless it's like a niche, thing that doesn't sell very often. You want to see like when the last one's actually what they actually sold for because the rest are priced really high or whatever. For anything that sells pretty often, like modern, I just look at lowest listing and then I look at like what the lowest listing ones look like. So, and by the way, no auctions. Don't worry about what any auctions go for. I mean, unless some auctions go higher, most of them go lower than market price. I don't ever try to compete with auctions. I don't care if people reach out to me and say, "Hey, this last one sold this at auction. Will you match that price?" No, absolutely not. So don't worry about auction prices. List them and buy it now. And scroll down, look at the lowest listing and kind of look at the lowest listing sellers. Are they established accounts? Are they even good pictures, good titles, good listings, letter and B? And I usually go up a few from there and like go up to where like the first like maybe like established good like long-term seller is with good pictures, good photos, good descriptions, all that. And I usually try to price lower than them. And then if you want, a lot of people will use the promoted listings. I usually put like 2.5% on. The reason I do 2.5% is because a lot of people just promoted the bare minimum, which is 2. So the 0.5% will kick me a little bit above them. Now I'm gonna have to put it at 3 because all you guys are gonna do 2.5. But Yeah, I usually put a little promoted listing on there, listed even a little bit higher than some other people, and usually sells pretty well. If you don't want to do promoted listings, just list it under make sure you have good pictures, good title, and everything, and just list it kind of under the bigger sellers, and it'll move pretty easy.
Yeah, I'm just gonna not answer that question because I think you pretty much summed it up really well.
You can answer the bulk questions.
Oh, that's what I'm here for, baby. I'm a big bulk guy. You know me. Is there a question? Does someone ask a question about bulk?
No, I'm just saying
Yeah,
in the future, I won't touch those. Those are all yours.
I won't touch the bulk questions. Yeah, right. As I mean, as far as like slabs go, I make it pretty simple for me in the shop, which is completely different. I literally use the alt app and I just use the top range of the alt app and then add $15. Just makes it simple for us in the shop, which is nice because we have like our cards displayed. And so we'll literally just take a picture of it. It pulls up the chart and then it tells you what the range is of the expected prices. And if it's an older card, we go the top end of the range. If it's a newer card with a lot of recent sales, we just take the average of the most recent 3 sales and then we add $15. Because that way it makes it simple. We're basically selling it at market and then we're covering our like grading cost.
So you're ripping off like your customers?
Dude, exactly. That's exactly what I'm doing. You caught me once again.
Just trying to make sure. I'm just building my information for the next Rattle Opossum video.
Dude, I forgot about that, man. I forgot you've been talking in cahoots with Opossum. You guys are best buds, bro. You guys, I heard you actually have a body pillow of Opossum. Is that true, Alex? That's just what the rumors on the street are, dude.
Dude, where does the body pillow stuff come from? It's so random.
I don't know, dude. You're the one that has his body pillow.
Dude, you gotta read your super chat, bro.
Yo, I got a super chat. Let's go, baby. Anthony Martinez. Yes, look up Prius Pro Black Edition. This sounds interesting. Alex and Eli, you guys are the best. If you guys had to buy any more 151, what would you buy and why? I mean, I feel like right now, just because there has been a resupply of 151 booster bundles, or a tiny reprint, right? Whatever you want to classify this one as, there has been a price correction. So there is at least somewhat of an opportunity to pick those up, but I don't know how high you are on those because, obviously the discussion we've had on our stance on that product in general.
Yeah, I mean, right now it just seems like anything you can get the lowest price per pack on 151, like everything's just kind of skyrocketed. ETBs, I mean, PC ETBs I wouldn't buy those. They're too high. Like, they're great investments for people that own them at retail, but I don't think I'd be buying them at 130, 140. UPCs had a massive run up. I don't like buying things after massive run ups. So like, I wouldn't really be buying a lot of 151 right now because it's ran up so much so fast. I like buying things when they've either stabilized or after they've dropped. And so, I mean, if you had to buy one thing, yeah, I'm with Eli. Bundles.
Dude, look at this.
Dude, stop.
Dude, that's so clean. Are you serious? You don't like that?
No, it is sick.
It's a sick car, bro. Are you kidding me? Oh, heck yeah.
Damn it.
Isn't it cool?
I actually have to get on board with a Prius.
Oh, dude.
I don't like myself anymore.
Oh, dude, that's pretty sweet.
Dude, it is. I can't argue that.
Okay, baby. Hey, listen.
I can't even argue against you anymore now.
Oh, dude. Well, here's the thing, man. I've always been very anti-Prius because I think they look dumb and most people that get them virtue signal. But when my buddy showed me the Prius Prime, it completely changed the way I looked at Priuses because they're trying to rebrand Priuses with like making them more sports car look. And so he showed me the Prius Prime because he's like, no, dude, you don't even know. Older Priuses you can hate on, but these newer models, bro, they're getting crazy with them. And I was like, oh, dude, that's sick, bro.
Hold on. Wait, we have a time-sensitive issue. Jacob Henderson at the beach in the bathroom, wife outside with child at the pool, got 60 seconds tops. What are y'all thinking on Stellar Crown? Dead on arrival or no? Go.
No, it's not dead on arrival. Pick up Stellar Crown. It's going to do well. And if it doesn't do well, it's still going to do well long term.
You know, I'm going to get made those Jim Cramer buttons. I'm going to either have a buy or a sell. And I'm going to hit the buy.
Dude, shout out to Anthony Martinez. Absolute fire super chat. I have to look up and see what the sticker price is on this. I'm not gonna lie, bro. That's insane. But yeah, no. I mean, what would you say? Would you agree with what I said on Stellar? I mean,
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's not.
You said 30 seconds, 6 seconds, whatever.
Yeah, it's not like a screaming buy, but it's not like something. I don't know if I'd want to skip it either. Like I don't. I know some people are skipping it. I'm not. I think it could do well. Like that Terapagos could. Put it this way. I've had people tell me their kids like watch the show still, and Terapagos is like a main Pokemon in the show, and I just think that could end up being something. It could be more chased after than we realize. Us old, old heads with all of our old 151 Pokemons. I don't know, man. I think it's worth picking some up. Maybe not like going all in on this, but I think it's worth picking some up. And not to mention the Bulbasaur and Squirtle. I mean, obvious, just home runs.
Yeah.
We've already seen Groudon, we've seen Tyranitar, Raichu, Magikarp, we've seen Ghastly, we've seen Eevee. IRs do well. No way Squirtle and Bulbasaur are not going to compete with all those cards. No way.
I think, yeah, I agree. Tropico's SIR, I think, is going to surprise people. Did Eli say if it doesn't do well, it will do well? No. I mean, yes, kind of. No. What I mean is, if it doesn't come out the gate and just perform in the same way that Twilight did, don't just all of a sudden panic and say, oh my god, it's a bust set. Like, it'll do fine. Basically, what I'm saying is it could do what Obsidian's doing now, which is finally moving in value after everyone's been hating on it. But I think Stellar's a much better set than Obsidian, no doubt.
Well, Walter wants us to defend Shrouded Fable. Like, dude, I told you, we were literally having the conversation of, do I burn it and make more off the views, or do I actually sell it? Because I'm not sure at this point. Like, obviously, profit has left the building. Like, there's no profit. You're taking a loss right now if you're selling the stuff. And so I'm just trying to think well, do I just burn it and put it on YouTube and all the platforms and see how many views I can get? So that's where I'm at with Shrouded.
I mean, my opinion on Shrouded is pretty simplistic. I think that Shrouded is just one that doesn't have a lot of things that people care about past the competitive viability of the set.
I do think that the Houndoom, and I think it's already killing it great. I said it. I think Houndoom and Persian are going to be great grading plays.
I can see that for sure. That is one I will agree with you on.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing of the set. Like, it's one of those sets that has a select few cards that you look at and you're like, these are cool cards I could see grading plays on. But past that, there isn't a big chase that is holding up the set.
No. Yeah, I'm going to look right now. I think one sold at a stupid high amount.
Really?
Yeah, dude. 470 at auction. PSA 10.
That's absolutely filthy.
So, yeah, I mean, I think obviously it'll come down, guys, but I think I think this Houndoom and this Persian, because it's not being open that much, I think they'll hold up really well. I think they'll be the PSA 10s of those will probably settle around the prices of some of the top PSA 10s. Maybe not Magikarp level, but I could see them being $100, $200 PSA 10s easy.
I mean, here's the thing, right? The lowest listed for the card is $25. Like the Houndoom specifically. I mean, it's playing pretty well right now, price-wise. Same with the Persian. Those two cards are holding up, dude.
Galaxy Card Shops, right? They should have just combined. They shouldn't have had this set. It's just...
Dude, I know maybe people might not like this, but, technically Stellar is a smaller set. What if they had combined Shrouded and Stellar?
That's what he said.
Oh, is that what he said?
Yeah. And they should have. I mean, it's just... It's rushed. It was a botched release. It's too close to other sets. None of it made any sense.
Are you seeing this?
Yeah, I mean, PCETBs, they're, in my opinion, for regular sets, they're the second best thing you can buy. For specialty sets, they're the absolute best thing you can buy. I don't put
100%. For specialty sets, I go crazy on ETBs. Crazy.
Yeah, I don't put them above booster boxes for a couple of reasons. I actually did an analysis on my channel before where I looked at every PC ETB compared to booster boxes. And at the time, booster boxes outperformed all of them pretty handily, but they were always second best. Also, booster boxes are always going to be, I feel, more sought after, more liquid. It's going to be an easier item to sell. They're going to have a better price per pack, all that good stuff. So I still like booster boxes more, but no, definitely it's a good way to diversify with PC ETBs for sure. And with Scarlet Violet, you got the promo. So if the promo takes off, like the Charmander from Obsidian Flames, you could actually outperform the booster box and do really well long term. So yeah, it definitely pays to kind of add those in your portfolio.
Bro, you see the drip they got going online right now for Halloween in the lead up, all the Halloween stuff.
Pokemon Center?
Yeah.
No, what is it?
It's just like clothes. There's like a Gengar hoodie.
What's that worth? Like $150?
65. It's not that
reasonable.
Crazy. It's not that crazy. I like the Lucario hoodie more, honestly.
I'm gonna get me a phone case.
Yeah. Rakuten works on eBay. I don't know about TCG Player. Any Magic Commander decks worth breaking down, King? Man, that's a great question. That is.
While you answer that, Dead Lion, PC ETB cases are 4, not 10.
Yes, that is correct. MKM was the last one that I was breaking down a ton of. Or MKC, for those that don't know, Murders of Karloff Manor. If you can get your hands on Bloomborough too. Bloomborough's been performing super well recently. Bloomborough, it's nice to see Bloomborough performing well, just because there's been a lot of like hate for newer sets recently with Magic. And Bloomborough has been one of the more fun, whimsical ones that people really like. Plus, it had really good buy a box promos. Yeah, prices have definitely gone down for MKM though, on the margins. But I mean, that's not really surprising. I feel like what's interesting, and maybe it's just because of the program that we're paying for with Mox, but like, I feel like people are starting to get more savvy with like the breaking down of commander decks. And so when you start to see margins kind of move up, you have to make like a quick play on it, because all of a sudden people start to kind of hop in on it and realize what's going on.
Today on Magic Mart USA.
God, such a hater, man. It's Money Mart USA. Thank you very much. That's what we're here for, man. I'm trying to help people make money more than anything. Oh, man. Someone said, Eli, do you prefer Mexican food or American pizza, hot dogs, burgers?
Bacon cheeseburgers.
I mean, I'm a huge burger guy, so it's kind of hard for me to go past that. I love cheeseburgers. It's one of those foods that it's
bacon
been a food for me, right? That what'd you say?
Bacon cheeseburgers, though, right?
I'm sorry, dude. Not bacon cheeseburgers, just regular.
Bacon?
No, because most of the time I get bacon, it's usually very soggy and like stringy, and it just kind of ruins the consistency. The only place I've had consistently good bacon on a burger is Wendy's. Wendy's Baconator is solid. But like most of the time, I never get good bacon on a burger. But like, no, dude, burgers are one of those meals for me where I never get sick of a burger. That's it. That's it for me. Like, burger is definitely kind of hitting. Like, I love Mexican food. Mexican food is definitely a top 3. But like, I don't know, I just love cheeseburgers.
Hey, Mr. Raha in the chat is winning my Kreese Gyarados Ancient Origins auction for only $1. Can you go ahead and bid on that real quick for him?
Oh, dude. Say less. No, my wife doesn't like bacon, average player. You're not alone. Wendy's has changed the game of saucy dogs. Dude, I mean, I don't want to go too far on a tangent, but people ask questions, and then I won't go on a tangent. It's your fault. And if you ask me tangent questions, well, that's kind of your fault. But, like, I feel like it's so interesting seeing, like, a lot of these companies try and appeal to, like, Gen Z with their, like, targeting ads. They're trying to make it more, like, brain rot or, like, humorous. Same with Gen Alpha, obviously. Alpha's more brain rot. But, like, do you know Duolingo?
Duolingo? What?
Duolingo, it's like the app for learning how to, like, speak other languages.
No idea, no.
Dude, so its whole thing is it's like got a green bird. And I swear to God, the ads that they like send out are like some of the most outrageous ads. And what's interesting is like on the actual app itself, it has like a UI display. So like when you're on your phone, you know how your phones have like the UI and it shows you like what the app looks like. Duolingo's UI for the app changes based on how consistently you use the actual app itself.
Oh my god.
So like if you haven't used it in a while, it literally makes the Duolingo bird look like it's about to die. And it's so funny, dude. It looks so wild. So I just thought I'd mention that because I don't know. It's just interesting to see how people are kind of going after it. Because Wendy's, if this is kind of where my mind came from with this, Wendy's social media is unhinged.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, I love always seeing those posts from them.
He says ate one of the Baconators with the pretzel bun and screamed America while eating it. Felt like dying the next day. Yes, Matthew, we did get approved for Dustborn pre-release at the shop. I'm definitely I'm excited for Dustborn just because I want to play horror decks because I really love the Mind Flare deck from Baldur's
You're
Gate.
playing Magic now?
Oh, dude, I love Magic Commander. It's such a fun game. I love Commander. Commander is just way more fun than like standard Pokemon is my thing. Because like Commander is more of a social outing. Like you've got multiple different people that you're able to play with in Commander, which makes it more fun of an element. So it's not just one-on-one. And that's one of the most enjoyable things about it. Plus, it's cool because Commander is very similar to like Hearthstone, which is something I'm very familiar with, and I love Hearthstone. Except there's so many different like commanders that you can use, so there's just a lot of possibility of being able to play the format and not getting bored of it. The only time it really gets ruined is if you have different crowds that are doing like different intentions. Like if you have a bunch of sweaty people and a bunch of casual people trying to have fun, then the sweaty people are going to ruin it. So you have to still be like conscientious of that, you know.
No, I don't know. So I'm just going to defer to your judgment.
You never played TCGs ever, did you?
I mean, maybe when I was like a kid, but I don't even think we played for real. We just kind of like, boom, Charizard kills you.
I mean,
Blue Eyes White Dragon, Dark Magician, I win.
Dark Magician. I mean, I played Pokemon when I was a kid. I played in tournaments, and then I've said this before, at a really high level with Hearthstone, and then I'm now getting into Magic. I will not get into competitive Magic though. It just doesn't seem fun. At that point, if I really want to go competitive at something, I just go back to Hearthstone. Like it's got a format for it, and it's already doing it really well.
So after all the hype you've talked on Flesh and Blood, you don't play that, huh?
I play Flesh and Blood, but no one plays Flesh and Blood with me. That's the problem. We just haven't seen a lot of people come in for Flesh and Blood. That's the problem. We have to almost curate a community for Flesh and Blood. That's the big thing. Any distros get One Piece? Dude, I don't know. Bandai is selective at this point. We'll see. It might hit more later, but I don't know. We'll see. Let's take one more question and head on out here. We've been going for almost 2 hours. Here's an interesting question. This is a good one. How safe do you feel selling boxes is for small sellers on TCG versus eBay, as in false claims of items not described? I don't know. It's interesting because like I sell a lot on TCG Player. We've got over 50,000 sales, obviously, and like I very rarely would say that like I come against high claim instances with like expensive cards, but that's because TCG Player requires you to have tracking and signature if it's over 250, and if it's over 50, it's tracking. Most of the times, if we do get some form of a claim, it's usually like sub $5 orders. So that's kind of it. But at that point, like people in the program will tell you, because the cool thing about the program is we've got like a really good group of guys that all use TCG Player, is like you just go in, you offer them their refund, then you ban them, because like you can actually block sellers so that they can't buy from you anymore. So that's what we usually tend to do, because there are scammers and you have to kind of factor that in. But at the end of the day, like there's not really much you can do past that. But it's done at least on a like smaller level. I know Alex, I mean, you might want to, I don't know if you want to disclose what you're going through right now currently, but you're obviously experiencing your own stuff.
I mean, yeah, I'm going through charge, but like that's a chargeback where someone's just doing a credit card chargeback, and that's through my own site. So I've been selling on eBay. I looked; it's been 13 years. I've never had one issue over 13 years. And think about that. I've went through what 10 of those years before I was a public figure or anything. So 10 years as a smaller seller. I've never been a high volume seller. My account's still not that big. So I've always been a smaller seller. During 2020, 2021, when I was liquidating all my Pokemon positions, I mean, I shipped thousands of dollars of booster boxes. Never had one issue. Tons of cases, tons of boxes, no issues. I think the issues on eBay and things are few and far between. If you do really want to protect yourself, there's a few things, okay? Film it yourself, set up a camera, film yourself showing the item at every angle, packaging it in the box, right? Tape up the box, and then you can like do like a signature or do some kind of like thing over both seals, right? All on camera, and then post a label on there. That way it's almost impossible for them to say, oh, and also when you ship it, ship with signature required. So you make sure they have to take ownership of the box. It can't just be left in their porch so they never got it. Doing those processes, it's pretty much going to protect you from just about everything other than when I'm going through a credit card chargeback fraud, something like that. But yeah, I mean, that's what I would do. I mean, I know are claims of like, oh, this was fake box or whatever. Those can be tough. Like I know they happen, but it's so overblown. Like even after this happened to me, I'm still and I'm not like changing my stance because now it happened to me. I'm still in the stance that guys, scams are so few and far between in this hobby. Millions of dollars of products and millions of transactions happen every single day. And a minuscule, less than 1% of these things actually ever happen. I wouldn't let it bother you to that level. There's another thing you can do to kind of protect yourself, and this seems kind of crappy for new people, but it is what it is. If the account that you're selling to is brand new, no feedback, low feedback, 1, 2, 10 stars, and you don't feel comfortable, just cancel the order. You can even call eBay and tell them, hey, I don't feel comfortable. I want to cancel this. Say, okay, it's up to you. Just cancel the order, relist it, and say, hey, I just don't feel comfortable sending it to you. Right. And wait until an account that is an established account, has a lot of feedback, been on there for years, all positive, that you feel comfortable sending the product to if it's a higher dollar product. Have no shame in that, right? And so those are some things you can do to help you out.
Yeah. There you go, baby. I should double check the mic input sound might be going through his camera or something. Interesting. That is weird. Well, I'll have to check that later then. Oh, should I? I'm sorry. Should I mute my mic? I didn't realize it was that bad.
I didn't either. I don't know, dude. I don't know. People are always giving me crap for sound stuff too. It's just like I've made videos, right? I'll listen to them. I'll have my wife listen to them. And then sometimes like when I was like getting like self-conscious about it, I would like, after I got my new mic, people were still complaining. I'll send them to like my close friends that live here. And like, they'll tell me, they don't care. I'm like, dude, for real, like, is this sound bad? And they're just like, no, I don't know what you're talking about. What do you mean? I'm just like, I don't know. People keep telling me the sound sounds bad. So it's weird, dude. You're always going to have complaints about that kind of stuff.
I mean, I've literally coughed like 30 times and I've done it with a mute mic. So I don't know.
Crazy.
Maybe I've had it unmute a couple of times. I don't think people realize like I've been really sick the past 5 days. I've been like bedridden for the past 3 or 4 days. And so I was just trying to push through the stream, but it is what it is, man. I apologize for those that are annoyed with the annoyed with the sniffles. Otherwise, I wouldn't have come on the stream, but I figured people wanted to hear us talk today. So, but as far as it goes though, guys, that is it, man. I think
Dude, look at Lee. Look at Lee telling you you're always sick. Hey Lee, he's not just always sick, he's always late too. Remember that.
Dang, I'm just getting 1-2 punched here. Just punch me while I'm down, dude. That's great.
Man.
Go back to your body pillow with you and frickin' your homeboy, your boyfriend. Go make a video about me.
My waifus.
Your waifu, dude. Your opossum bud waifu. Go back to him. Make love. All right, we're getting out of here, man. Want to thank you guys all so much for stopping by. As always, it really helps the channel. If you leave a like, comment down below, subscribe.
Hold on,
And
before we leave though, one last
okay,
thing.
one
Does it
last
bother
thing.
you that Mason has more bulk than you?
Does it matter?
Does it bother you?
Does it bother me, dude?
Come on.
Dude, I can never be as cool as Mason. I've kind of accepted it at this point. So
I mean, I know you don't
yeah.
talk about it much, but I just feel like it bothers you a little bit.
It did it first because I've got a really like big ego and I just have to think I'm better than everyone. But Mason has just really humbled me. When I saw his mount bulk, I was like, whoa, dude. Like I realized that my bulk mountain is tiny compared to his. He just has a monster bulk mountain. So I just he's just got the stacks, man. So I personally I've learned my lesson. I've been humbled. And so I've just accepted where I am and I use that as a learning experience in my journey.
Oh, that's
So much more. This lost 80% of the value. So sick. Oh,
well, it's been a
man.
good one, man.
Yeah, right. Seriously. As sick as Eli really is. Hey, man, I feel like people don't really understand that when you run your own business, you have to work even when you're sick. And it's so great because then you're even more sick because you don't rest. So when I was on vacation, quote unquote, in Japan and Hawaii, I worked every single day for 4 to 6 hours. And that was eye-opening experience because then it made me realize how much I work even when I am not over at the shop working. So like it's a
Evil business
lot.
owner.
Huh?
Evil business owner. You know
Evil
what?
business
If
owner.
you get really successful, just know that like if you start making a lot of money, you should give back to everyone else because this is how it should work in the USA.
Yeah, it's tough, dude. Business owning is listen, I'm blessed. I'm grateful for what I do cuz it's great, but like it feels like you just never get a day off, man. Owning a shop, it literally feels like you never get a day off.
Did
So
Alex
I always
actually fly to Phoenix to help at the store? Did I?
Dude, Alex did. Come on now.
Did I?
Dude, where do you think he's getting his opossum bud pillows, bro?
I mean, haven't you seen like my crazy tan I got down in Phoenix?
Yeah, right. You don't look white. You don't look pale. He flew economy. Yeah, I didn't use my points. I made you fly economy.
Yeah, I didn't have any credit card points, guys. That's
Dude, if he had points, what an absolute crazy that I told you that. That's so funny. All right, guys. Let's wrap this up here. I got some things we got to take care of. Time to go to the shop. All right, have a good one all. Peace.